All right. Welcome to another edition of the Bardown podcast, except this one's live, not 9 hours long. Thank Christ for that one.
Yeah, did we officially count that as a podcast?
Ooh, I guess we just did now.
Plus, who cares?
Exactly.
There's always that.
Yeah, there's always that. Julia, welcome. Filling in for
debut.
Luca. Yeah.
We love it.
Yeah,
We're
we
having
love
fun. It's Friday. I don't know if it'll be Friday when people hear this, but
it
right
might.
now it is.
It'll be the weekend. They'll have
Love
some good
that.
weekend vibes to them. But man, it's been a little bit since we've been on air, so there's like so much stuff to talk about. Obviously, I know Jesse's really going to want to talk about Matthews.
Yeah,
Really
well,
bad.
I almost responded to your tweet last night to be like, stay out of this.
Why?
you
What did
know?
you tweet? I didn't
He was
see.
like, wow, what an incredible show.
hey man, you gotta like give credit where it's due, and like,
What did you say?
Except for the rest of the time.
What was
man.
the tweet?
have I ever said that Austin Matthews is a bad hockey player?
What was the tweet?
I just said like, congratulations to Austin Matthews on a truly incredible accomplishment.
Did he
Was there
answer?
sarcasm?
Like,
Is that what you're saying?
No,
No, I was like,
no, I was being serious.
Okay.
It's amazing what he's doing. I'm not gonna deny
yeah,
that.
but
I'm not gonna,
a game ago, you're moaning and groaning about seeing his 50th goal, you know?
Yeah, that he was.
Well, yeah, because I had to watch it live. That stunk against my own team.
That's a whole other thing.
No, obviously I'm gonna groan. It's like he scored his 50th goal against the Jets on an empty netter to seal it. Like, what am I gonna do? Like cheer?
Yeah.
Well, Jesse,
Honestly,
is this your I'm upset live face?
Yeah. Honestly, I was also with like 3 such nice ladies who I had never
They gave a
met.
cheer, eh?
I had never met them before that night.
When Austin scored, I saw the lady next to you get up. She gave him a cheer.
No, you know what she actually did. If you
Or
watch the
she go
video,
leave.
she like patted me on the back to
all
make
right.
sure I was okay.
So,
So
like
good.
you.
Yeah, she was honestly great.
Yeah.
Sharon Mittman, absolute beauty.
Wow.
Yeah.
Shout out the
Sharon.
squad.
I'll shout out the squad.
By the way, was the crowd chirping him at all, or like again, we'll get into this a little bit later because we got some cold moments to talk about. Anyways, but I was just wild. I mean, I enjoyed the celebration, but it was like extended.
Yeah,
Can I-
last night.
But
Can I say one thing though about the game that I was at? Sorry, just before we get
imagine I
into
just
there.
said
Winnipeg
no
game.
every time you fret. It's like no. Would you actually just stop?
Sorry, I'm going to say one thing.
Okay.
Before we start.
There we go.
That's
I like
fair.
that. Look at that.
Assertive.
yeah, I gotta have a little more
We
confidence.
love a
Like
confident
it.
Jesse.
Oh yeah. Okay, so I'm sitting down and these 2 Leafs fans are just like, they're getting after it a little, for sure. Like they had a couple drinks. And one of them, we're talking about the Jets, and one of them goes to me, Dustin Byfuglien is the 6th best defenseman of all time when he was playing his best hockey.
It's a bit nuts.
And I said,
more than nuts.
And I literally said after, like, that's got to be one of the dumbest takes I've ever heard. And then I thought about it again to be like, okay, do I really think that that's one of the dumbest takes? Like, is it possible that Dustin Byfuglien?
Yes.
No, no.
Sixth the best
No,
defenseman
listen.
of all time.
I'm
the
saying,
history
I'm
of the
saying,
game.
I'm saying, I
Insane.
thought about it, and just in my head to be like, okay, like, is there any truth to what this guy's saying? And then I was just like, absolutely not. Look, Dustin Byfuglien was
Thank you for slightly validating it for about 10 seconds there. And then
But
just
like,
you know what?
You mulled it over.
Also,
Yeah.
I'll say this.
always, you gotta.
Dustin Byfuglien might be a top 6 defenseman who also played forward of all time.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, that checks
No,
out.
elite group.
But like, very few defensemen in history, I don't even know if there has been a defenseman in history who's been as physically dominant as Dustin Byfuglien.
Before we get too off track,
Okay,
because
wait a second.
let's.
I'm just saying,
I think
it's
we all
true.
laughed.
Scott Stevens?
Yeah.
Yes, but man, like if Byfuglien, when Byfuglien
Yes.
wanted to, when
Just, like,
Byfuglien wanted
physically
to,
strong.
Chara?
do you remember? No,
Two guys.
I think
multiple
Bu-
occasions?
Byfuglien's a harder hitter than Chara. He is. Did you see
should have
Byfuglien's hit on Mark Stone? Single biggest hit I've ever witnessed in my life. Like, look, we'll look it up after. It was thunderous.
All right. Well,
This guy's never seen Mark Messier's highlight reel of elbows and goals.
that guy put people out of work.
Yeah.
Sorry, Byfuglien was legally.
You should make that.
Also,
distinction.
Mark Messier.
We know you're interested. But all right, before we get too out of hand over here, we do have a little bit of a docket of things we're going to chat about today. And one of them, since the playoffs are obviously coming up very soon, and the matchups have been set in stone, especially in the East, for quite some time, and the West is now certainly starting to cement in a lot of areas. So we thought that the first thing we should talk about is we know the favorites already, even with Luka not being in the room here. We get it. He'd be yelling about it now. But we want to know about the teams that could pull off an upset in those rounds. Anyone care to take the floor for your biggest upset favorite? The one to make some moves when round one gets underway of the Stanley Cup playoffs.
What are we counting as an
I
upset?
don't know.
Like
all these teams are so good.
There aren't many, especially in the East.
Yeah. I did a whole.
Well, that's a topic.
I did a whole
It's done.
Leafs pregame segment on literally it's like a historically good Eastern Conference that like it's just you're not really getting a good matchup no matter what you do. So, but I mean like if you're but like do you have to be a 7 or 8 seed to really count as an upset? You know, because like if you're the 6 seed and you upset and I know that's not how it works, but like, so I guess if you're the third in the division and you upset the second team, like, is that really an upset?
I think, it's all relative, especially like in the NHL playoffs because of how seeding works. And as you said, there are some stronger divisions than others. So, it's all relative to your opponent.
Well, and like, is anybody gonna be like, wow, what an upset if the Lightning beat the Hurricanes?
No.
Or like
no.
Even the Kings and the Oilers are just 3 points.
That's the one
I don't know. There's no upset in this.
Because I could totally see the Kings winning the series, but
too.
like,
Would that feel like an upset to you then?
I feel like an upset just because having like Draisaitl and McDavid go out in the first round feels like an upset.
But I don't think it would be
really
an upset. It would just be like more of a criticism of Oilers management again.
How about this then? If the Capitals beat the Panthers, that's an upset.
100%.
Yes.
100%.
That's
And that's one that
one.
could happen.
That's
Well,
what.
do you guys think that's one that can happen?
Yeah,
Okay.
totally.
And
Can you make a case for it?
Call me nuts. Call me nuts. And I don't think it's gonna happen. I wouldn't be shocked if Nashville beat Calgary.
I love the pause for dramatic effect.
I would be surprised, but it wouldn't like. I feel like
No,
Nashville's
you gotta
team-
go for it if you. Are you
Nashville's-
think they will
Nashville's-
offset
in
them?
here, pal. You want to call it?
Nashville's a team that I could see them winning a series. Like
And
they
you
just
think they're going to?
no, I don't think. Well, look, I don't.
Out immediately.
But out of all the teams, I mean Washington, you can make a case against
Washington,
Florida.
I think, like Washington has a grittier and more playoff experience than Florida.
'Kay.
Florida's not proven in the playoffs.
But I don't trust Washington's goaltending.
Florida's goaltending. You see what happened to Bobrovsky the other night?
But I trust Florida to score more goals than Washington.
I don't know if that happens in the playoffs. Is the only thing.
Oh, there's so much firepower on that
It's
Florida.
true.
It is
I,
crazy.
Like, listen,
There's
I
too
would
much
love
firepower.
to see playoff
There's-
series like the Florida Toronto game, but I just don't know if that happens in the postseason.
The reason why I say Nashville is because they do have the goalie. They've got
Yeah.
the goalie. They've got the defenseman. They've got a couple forwards who can get it done.
Speaking, sorry.
I don't know.
I saw the rudest tweet the other night. It was, forget what it was. Someone made UC Saros look like Chris Mason. Was the tweet from someone? I'm like, that's just not like. What are you
Winnipeg Jets legend. Had such nice pads in Winnipeg. Look them up. They're so sick.
Yeah. Okay, well, you clearly, let's get back to the Capitals for a second, because I know you guys actually have been pretty hot on them. And just speaking to the East, as you mentioned, there really isn't a weak team making the playoffs. So what is it about the Capitals that, in your opinion, would make them dangerous? And potentially for the Panthers, who, like, they went all in at the deadline. Things are working out for them, and they're still looking pretty solid. But what could the Caps do against them to upset them?
I mean, you have Ovechkin. Like
Yeah.
that's your number one.
You have to
They've got
say.
they've got elite talent, and realistically, if they can match up goaltending wise, like obviously you've got John Carlson, you've still got Kuznetsov, you've got like their top six is pretty crazy. When obviously you add in kind of like if you're gonna try and talk about playoff hockey and stuff, and you got Tom Wilson in the top six, you got Anthony Mantha in there, a bunch of big boys, you know. And so, like, again, I think they're a dangerous team, and I think if they ride some nice shooting percentages and some in a like an equal goalie, they could totally knock off the Panthers.
Yeah.
But
Got to look out for a guy like TJ Oshie as well.
Yeah.
I think he's just a clutch guy to have in the playoffs.
You were right about goaltending, though. I do feel like even though Florida's got issues, Washington's got issues in net. I was
100%.
talking about this the other day. Like, there's so much scoring right now in the NHL. So much scoring, like so many high-scoring games, and it's probably as a result of condensed schedule and things like that. How many random people have been in lineups this year because of COVID? But also, like, there's very few teams that have a solid number one goaltender now. like lots of goalies are having tough years. There's a couple really elite goaltenders, like Shesterkin, obviously, Vasilevsky's an obvious one. But even like the Hellebucks of the world are having tough seasons.
Okay, so then let's look at all of the current playoff teams, and I'm fully aware, but he's also facing so much rubber. It's
Totally,
insane.
totally.
And you included Freddie in there, right? You did, right?
Yeah, we've seen what happens to Freddie in the playoffs, though, too. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, with the Leafs.
I guess.
That's fair.
I'm
It's fair.
serious.
It's still-
I'm
No, but
serious.
to be fair though, I don't think he was ever like
No.
like
He
There are
was
moments
usually
people
worn
remember
down
versus, like,
in the playoffs.
Overall bad resume.
well, his thing always with the Leafs was like you need a save sometimes, and maybe he didn't make like the save.
Yeah.
You know, where it wasn't like, oh, your whole performance was terrible,
Yes.
and like so yeah. But clearly, yeah, he's having a great bounce back here.
So the one king on the board, not the actual Kings, one king on the board that I think everyone would look at as far as whoa if they got upset in the first round. It is the Avalanche. And is there anyone in a wild card spot that you think could take them down? Right now it's the Dallas Stars, I believe.
Yeah.
It would be, which let's
Watching them last night, they do not
Not
look
gonna
like they're
happen,
gonna
no.
upset anybody.
But let's just say for one, like it is possible. Is it possible for Nashville? They could sneak into that right now. They could go down there. So if Nashville were to play the Avs, is there any team?
Yes,
that the Avs
because
ended
of
up playing?
Saros. Saros is an incredible goalie. Like he's one of the guys that he's probably like you probably have a top tier of like Vasilevsky and Shesterkin, and then Saros is probably like the next, like barely a tier down, and then like maybe him and Hellebuck, and then like
Not right now.
I know, but like still he still has the reputation. Maybe him, Hellebuck, Anderson, like those guys that maybe they're like because I don't think anybody looks at those guys as like the best in the
Markstrom.
league.
Markstrom.
Right.
Yeah, Markstrom.
Gotta
Yeah.
get him there.
Awesome year.
He's unreal.
Quick hello to the chat, by the way. We see
Yeah.
you guys typing away there. And for the person who asked where the next quiz is, we actually did film one yesterday, and it was a suggestion from the last one. So if you want a clue on what it is, it's in there. On the
Z, may I
it's the
actually
last
go grab something quickly, just for a hot sec? I know we left for a second during the 9-hour live stream. There's just something that I'd like to bring onto
This
the
is not a
set.
bit. I have
What
no
is
idea what he's
this?
talking about.
Just
Okay, wait.
bear with me.
Anyway, let's.
Could Vegas
we need to
upset
slide out there.
Colorado? Do you think?
Yes, if Vegas gets in, they're the easiest. But like
Because they're
again,
only 2 points back right now, Dallas.
Julian, let's
going
talk this out. Let's talk this out.
Not a bit.
Wow.
Didn't make that up. I don't know what happened.
Is Jesse okay?
Yeah. Either way.
Anyways,
Thanks for that. Yeah. But no. Oh, he's back. So I'm already sliding out of the way.
And he's
here.
got it
Growth
hidden
of
under his
sorts.
shirt.
It's okay. So it is a gag. Not practiced, as you can tell how uncomfortable I am around him.
Who could have seen that coming? That Jesse had a gag.
I'm so confused.
All I gotta say, everyone, is
Okay.
Can we get some horses in the chat?
Really, what you have
Let's
to
get the
say.
horses
Might
going.
be a little early to get the horse in the chat, but not to mention, I don't know if people who are in this chat even remember what that is.
I
but-
want to see everyone commenting horses in the chat. Let's go. Let's go.
Okay, so one thing, there was a game on Thursday night, and it was between the Penguins and the Rangers, which that is
Lit.
another, very much a battle that could happen in the playoffs. Do you think the Penguins? I mean, actually, there is no real favorite in that. I mean, right now it'd be the Rangers. That they'd be like the skewed favorite, but anyone want to make a case for the Penguins winning that one, which seems pretty easy. It seems like it's going to be similar to your Caps argument.
Yeah, 100%. I mean,
Yeah.
the case against them is they just lost 3 straight against the Rangers, I'm pretty sure, and just got shut out. But but I mean, they're a very
So
good
much
team.
Depends on Tristan Jarry having a bounce back playoffs. That was a mess last year in the playoffs for him.
Yeah,
But he's insane.
He's been amazing this year.
As important
Yeah.
as Jari is, though, Shesterkin is the X factor. Like he's. It's
If-
like
yeah.
it's the
if
series
he
is
plays
gonna,
like he has been playing, then
if he plays well, they're gonna win. If he doesn't play like the way he's been playing during the regular season and hits the playoffs, so that happens to players who don't necessarily perform as well as they did in the season.
And he had
then-
a little
then
blip
they're
just
toast.
recently too, which he's turned around.
I'll say in general, if we're talking about teams that could upset like overall, maybe not the first round, I think the Penguins are somebody that people are sleeping on a little bit. Like they're a loaded team, and like because like again, think about this that they were like a lock to be a playoff team without Crosby and Malkin, and then like not as in that's what people thought, but just how they were playing.
Yeah.
And then those guys came back.
Yeah.
And like
Definitely not in how people thought, by the way.
No.
Right,
Oh yeah,
100%
we
on
ripped
how
on
they
Luka
played.
for saying he was going to win.
Yeah.
They were going to win the division, but he was obviously way
believer.
ahead of the curve. Except not really, because he was like second guessing himself during the video. Like, oh, I forgot they were out. But,
Partial credit.
yeah.
Possibly what could be one of the closest in the first round as well in terms of series. I know Rangers Penguins would be amazing, but we were talking about it a bit earlier.
That was such a great game last night.
That Minnesota St. Louis series, that could be a special
Heavy.
series.
Those teams are really well matched.
And we were saying too, like as good as Jordan Kyrou, I feel, guys, obviously Showtime. He's been he's been
Box
fantastic.
office.
He's been
He'll never be able to sort out
He's
if it's
Showtime.
Showtime or
He's
box
Showtime.
office.
It's box office.
Robert Thomas has been so good for the Blues this year. He's point per game player, which is like big. Like the difference, I know that like particularly Luka like has been like a hater of the Blues, but I feel like we're kind
Luka's
of
just catching strays on this.
even-
I'll let him catch a couple strays.
yeah.
But I feel like this is obviously a very different Blues team this year. Like look at who's leading the way for them right now: Kyrou, Robert Thomas, Buchnevich, like guys like Shen and like O'Reilly, like guys in the past who have kind of led the pack for them. They're not the leaders on that team anymore. They're more depth players. Tarasenko's obviously still been a stud. Can't believe Seattle didn't take him.
Yeah.
BG Dubs, but
I mean, yeah. Imagine that trade deadline piece.
Seriously.
exactly.
Hey, Seattle, maybe you would have got a first. Losers.
Yeah, absolute jewel.
Podcast devolves into just ripping the Kraken, and I'm
my
sorry.
God.
For
They
this.
They were
deserve
supposed
it.
to
They
be
deserve
fun,
it.
and they're not.
They deserve it.
All right.
Thanks for Blackwell, though. He looks great.
Yeah, he does.
And Gio's did you watch? Yeah, you watched the Leafs game. Did you see when Giordano did that like little toe drag in the corner behind the net, like in the offensive zone?
It's
Crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was like impressive. I was like, whoa, hello. But
Back to the Blues.
Heavy
Like,
series. Heavy series.
Barbashev's been getting it done. Like he
Yeah.
phantomly has 50 points this year. Like Perron's still good. I don't know. I think I would take the Blues in that series.
I'm kind of
I would.
I don't know
I'd
if their
take the
blue line
Blues.
is deep enough is the only thing.
Like-
I don't know if they've replaced Pietrangelo on that blue line. Torrey Krug is a really good defenseman, but I don't know if he's Pietrangelo.
But like my only other thing is also I feel like you're hyping up some of the like Blues players and like you look at the Wild like
Yeah, holy man.
No.
They've got the toughest guy. in the
I'm
series.
just
They've got-
I just think that everyone's been
So nice
hyping up
series.
the Wild so much. And
yeah. Okay, wait, hold
no
on.
one's really talking
you've been
about the
calling,
Blues.
You've been calling Luka a Blues hater. You're an
you
absolute
definitely been the
Wild
official
hater. Like
cool down.
anybody that you can put them against, you're like, I'll take them. I'll take the other team.
They did just lose Dumba last night, by the way.
Yeah.
Which that could
Yeah.
be pretty
And
huge
it doesn't
because
look good.
no, it was a shoulder injury, which would be huge.
Look, man, I'm not a Wild hater. I respect the Wild. I've never spoken.
Doesn't sound like it.
Have I ever spoken illy? Like I don't like trash talk. I don't trash the Wild. I respect them. I think they're a good team. I'm just looking at the Blues, and I just if Huso can.
I'm not saying you don't have to trash a team to disrespect them a little bit. You don't think they're good enough to beat most of the teams that they're going to be competing against.
Which again, they
Which teams? In fairness, we only compared them to the Rangers and the Blues.
and to be fair about the Wild,
Yeah, I'll go get. So who do you think they can beat?
in the first round, or like out of all the playoff teams,
Yeah.
I think they could be like obviously Nashville, Dallas. Those are
But you would
LA,
take them?
Edmonton.
You would take the Wild over all those teams.
like I would probably take the Wild over LA or even Edmonton. I'd probably take them over.
Okay.
But man, I just first of all, it's not against the Wild. It's just the only two teams that we have talked about them getting them matched up against is the Rangers, who I obviously like,
Yeah.
and the Blues, who I've always backed.
Yeah.
to be fair to your take on the Wild, like, isn't there a stat out there like how long they've been playing from behind and their crazy comebacks this year as well? It's not like they've totally inspired confidence all the way through, and I know like they've been great in the last
Rangers have had a couple of those too, though. No.
Yeah.
100%, but
Kings
that was for
had a
betting
bunch.
purposes. I'm betting on the Rangers in round one.
Let's go. I'm with you, Z. I hope the Rangers win.
But
Wear it, Luka.
it's not
Catch
like there are
strays.
not cracks in the Wild's armory. You hope that next year maybe they could piece together, even though it will be even more difficult for them to do that probably. But
I love that we just skimmed over Toronto-Boston. We're like, yeah, Toronto-Boston can happen.
Oh, we're
and,
talking upsets, I guess, right? We can talk that
Wait,
series.
Does Toronto is Toronto an upset? Like if they
For
win,
who?
I have
if
no
Toronto
idea.
wins, is it an upset?
Get out of here.
No, I'm
So,
genuinely
yeah.
asking. 'Cause are you saying Toronto's gonna be a favorite to make it out of the first round?
They should be the favorite
They
against
should
Are you
Boston.
saying they should be or they are?
This is pretty much just history versus like current form.
I mean, like
Make your pick.
they will. They're the favorite to win that series for sure.
Okay.
They are. Like I'm not just gonna. You know, they're a bunch of cowards. But like, if you look at the way the team's playing now,
You guys is a bunch of cowards.
Just say it, by the way. Flat out, that is not an upset, I don't think. I understand historical context, but you can't call that an upset. It would be a great push for them. There's no way you could label that an upset if they
No, I agree. It's a loss.
not a
actually.
chance.
They'll win.
I
They're gonna absolutely
no.
wipe the floor with the Bruins.
the difference, like Matthews is just scoring at such an insane rate right now that if you have someone who can just do that for you game in and game out, like you have a good chance to win. And I feel like he's not going to slow down.
Man,
but Boston's
I
tough.
hope not.
Marner's been
man.
crazy too. That line.
But what about what if you get like Bergeron just
That's the
shutting
thing.
her down?
That's
yeah.
the thing. It happened last year.
Let's go.
I mean, well, that's the other thing to talk about is like Bergeron. Like one of the craziest things for when you look at like all of his defensive metrics and stuff, he's having like one of his best defensive seasons of his entire career.
Yeah.
Literally
and that's
ever,
a guy
yeah.
that has been a Selke, like basically finalist for 10 years straight. Like how? He's like 30.
Yeah.
What is he? 37? Like
Yeah. Sheldon Keefe was like, Marner should be in the conversation. I'm like, yeah, we could totally talk about it, but they're literally just gonna hand it to Patrice this year.
yeah, like if Marner like it gets in the conversation, it's basically just like that meme
To
where the
be on the
guys,
ballot.
yeah, where the guys like celebrating with champagne in third
Yeah.
place. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's basically that. Like you're not winning.
Now I know
No.
I kind of stifled the power or of historical context as far as saying they're not favorites and whatnot or whatever they're not being upset. But if they get past the Bruins, like, do you guys actually see that as like a total key unlocking that team? Then
I think
like,
it would fix everything in the
do
city.
you think it
I
opens
the city
the
would
floodgates?
defrost?
Not for the city though, for the team. Genuinely, for the
It
the
would break a
players on that
curse.
team.
It would be like pulling the sword from the stone in whatever little fairy tale that would. It would fix everything.
How
I really
far-
believe in them if they could get past the first
Effectively,
round.
I'm asking, do you think they could make the Cup Finals? Is this some kind of like barrier that you believe is so real that like if they can prove themselves, they can win one round, it could totally unlock a new side of the team you haven't even seen yet? In the
Well, the
playoffs?
goaltending is still a thing, right?
Yeah, like well, for me, if they win that first round, like I do think that John Tavares will probably give the cup to Spezza first, and then
But you gotta
guys,
you
yeah,
gotta
right.
you gotta pipe it. You gotta pipe it.
For real though.
no, I do, yeah, 100%. I genuinely think. Well, I'm not even saying that first round. I truly think that the team is very good, and I think they will go on a run this year.
So
I've said I'm picking. My pick is Leafs Flames final,
You're sticking to it.
Ooh,
Alright.
Canada would blow up.
and ESPN and TNT would be
They'd be-
rattled.
Oh my gosh.
Imagine
So-
first year, two Canadian
Imagine.
teams. Like, yeah.
I want to ask the chat. Look, like
This is live, by the way.
unfortunately, it's looking like your Winnipeg Jets. It almost seems as though that loss to the Red Wings was just like, okay,
a dagger.
what are we doing here? yeah,
What are
it just
we
seems
doing
like
here?
I haven't lost hope completely, but that was just a tough one to lose. So, which team's bandwagon should I hop on? I want to hear it in
Rangers.
the I want to hear it in the chat.
Rangers.
I'm going to cheer
Your
for the
boy
Rangers.
Copp, and
I
you-
know.
I know you're upset already that you guys didn't get a first for Cop now because he's done well for the Rangers. It's an automatic Cop. That's a Billy. Rangers.
It is
Not
the
Billy.
Rangers is a ability. The Rangers are my team. In the East right now, I'd say, but like I like Carolina. I like the Panthers. The Blues. I don't know. And guys, you know who we just haven't even taken into account?
So you're getting a lot of it's pretty mixed bag actually. Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
Minnesota, Pens, Canes, Avs.
oh, Thrashers. That is your team.
Thrashers. Yeah, that's my squad.
Yep.
That's my squad.
Definitely cheer for them in the playoffs in 2022.
Yeah,
I mean, because that's the Jets.
yeah. We got to get the fake Kyle
the
Wellwood.
Thrashers.
We got to get the fake
I
Kyle
get
Wellwood Twitter account going
I'm
again.
Looking for a bandwagon.
No, because the Thrashers.
Yeah, no, I get it.
moved
Yeah, oh, yeah.
to Winnipeg.
Oh, sorry. I missed that part.
We inherited. Okay, I want to look up the Jets opening roster for when we came back.
Perfect time to switch subjects.
No. Seriously. I want everyone to listen to how awful the roster was that we inherited from the Thrashers, okay? Listen to this roster.
And then we're going to move on to the next topic, folks. Don't worry.
Leading the team, okay, we had Blake Wheeler, Evander Kane, Dustin
You know who
Byfuglien.
he's about to come at, right?
Okay.
So far, pretty
I can
good,
see the
actually.
name on the list, and I know he's just gonna light the guy up.
Andrew Ladd,
Yeah.
Cheap Kyle Wellwood,
I knew it.
Kyle Wellwood, Brian Little, Nick Angelov, Toby Enstrom, Zach Bogosian,
Couple Leafs legends
Listen,
on this
it-
list.
Alex Burmistrov. No, this is where it gets insane, okay? Alex Burmistrov,
He's like,
Tim Stapleton, okay? Jim Slater, beauty. Tanner Glass, Mark Stewart, Old Matt Mittens, Antti Miettinen, Johnny Oduya, Chris Thorburn, Ron Hainsey, who everyone could not stand in Winnipeg at the time. Like,
I can confirm that because I have like a weird mission stick that was like a Ron Hainsey curve, and I gave it to him for a game to play. It was in a
Yeah.
YouTube video, and he was rattled to see the Hainsey name on his twig.
oh yeah,
Which is
We
a
could not
crazy
stand
thing.
him.
Like, why was Ron Hainsey one of the
Yeah.
people that had a custom curve? Like,
Oh, yeah.
What is that?
We also had Mark Flood. Who the hell is Mark Flood? No offense, Mark Flood.
All right. No offense, Mark Flood. I'm sure he buys that. I'm sure he really believes you on that. We're going to move on to the topic of this video, the title of this video, which is diving in the NHL, which was sparked by that Tim Stützle play with Nick Suzuki. They go knee on knee, or at least it looked like knee on knee. Penalty was still called on the play. Stützle, he was down for a little while.
Well,
He
Stützle
gets
drew
up.
2 penalties that game too,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. And so what ends up happening, though, at the end of the game is Gallagher just calls him out for it because they think it's a dive. He embellishes on the play. But first, I guess, and foremost, what did you guys think of the play itself? And do you think there's too much diving in the NHL?
Well, he didn't play last night. So, like, that made it really awkward for Brendan Gallagher, probably.
Give a little head scratcher? It was like,
Yeah,
maybe I
like,
shouldn't have said that.
that makes it awkward, Brendan. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, I have mixed feelings because I love when people call each other out.
Me too. I love a
But-
good sound bite.
Yeah, but yeah, Gallagher's wearing it on this one. Like that's
Oh
it's not.
my
I honestly, I think you lost a game and you were like, I don't like that. and then you were like, I'm just gonna go at somebody that made me a little upset. Clearly, he's injured, and I mean, Gallagher. Stützle has some stuff where he has a bit of a reputation for like drawing penalties. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think like take your advantage, especially when refs don't call a lot of like of the kind of like hack and slash stuff on those star guys. Get your penalties, but I mean, Brendan, like you do the same thing. You do the same thing all the time. You're like both of you are top 15 in the league in drawing penalties like per minutes, and I don't. I think you were just a little salty.
Well, like
there.
is Gallagher like it is extremely frustrating. Like embellishing's one thing, but like to watch a player go down and act. Not saying that Sousa wasn't here, but like anytime you see it, you gotta admit it. Like it's very frustrating to see a player go down, act like they're so hurt, and then go out like the next shift. It's like,
Apparently, was still hurt though. Like he limped to the bus. He just wanted to get out there.
Well,
So it's
and-
like, are you? So sometimes we'd be like, "What a beauty out there next shift," and now we're like, "Diver out there next shift," even though he's hurt. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but also like, don't you think that I don't know, like in that play, it doesn't look like he like stays down.
Didn't
very
look like he
long,
stayed down to me at all. And not to mention, they
No.
were seeing he was like limping like to the bus after the game. Like it seemed legitimate. And I'm not saying that you can't get frustrated. I get your point as
Yeah.
well. But I don't know. I would agree with Corwin and Julia to that effect of just like, it seems like he lost. He was a little bit heated. What's the easiest thing for you to point out and say? Well, I know all about diving, and that guy dives.
It was like, okay, old man Brendan, when I was 10 years old.
I know the
Like,
story. Like
wow.
I loved it.
The drama of it all.
Love
but
the drama.
whatever.
I love that.
I love
Keep
Brendan
doing
Gallagher
it.
too.
Yeah.
I love
I
Brendan
like Brendan Gallagher too.
Yeah.
Proud follower of Bardown meme page.
There
Yeah.
we go. Yeah.
That was so random.
And he and I share a lookalike. That dude from St. Peter's, right? What's his name?
Oh,
Oh yeah, yeah. That's actually right. I was gonna give you a hard time about
Doug
that,
Eaters?
Jess.
Is that
but
his name?
yeah.
Yeah,
No, yeah.
He does look like you
Gal
guys.
even agreed.
yeah.
He tweeted about it as well, which is kind of nuts.
Did he throw you in the tweet?
Well, like I said it, and then he like quote tweeted the tweet, and
Oh, he
with a bunch of
quote tweeted your
crying
tweet?
faces. Yeah,
No
a bunch of
way.
crying faces.
Oh, yeah.
Gallagher, boy, I've been told I look like Brendan Gallagher all the time. I've been told I look like literally everyone. Anyways,
You also say you look like that, literally everybody.
because other people say it. Okay,
And
also,
then you bring it onto the stage here.
I just want to say something. Can I say something?
No.
I just said I'm going to say something.
Yeah, okay.
I think the NHL's embellishment penalty is the dumbest thing ever. I think it's so. I'm not saying that like.
Really?
I'm not
I
saying
think
that.
it's good. Like, it keeps guys in check.
No. I'm not saying that players shouldn't get called for embellishing, but I think it's absolutely ridiculous when players get called for embellishment and
Okay,
the
that's
player gets a
insane.
penalty on them. It's
That
like,
is
hey,
insane,
I'm gonna
yeah.
call a tripping penalty, but you're also gonna get a penalty for embellishing.
Which is it?
If there's a tripping penalty, how did I embellish it?
Yeah.
No, but still, I can.
So
I know
dumb.
there's definitely been some where that is frustrating, but the Paul, I don't think you should say like you can't get an embellishment if you also drew a penalty, because it's like, yeah, there could be a penalty, and then like say again, I don't know whatever it is, if you get hooked and it's a bit of a hook, maybe you're not looking, the ref already has his hands up, and then you go like, like, you know, like that's you shouldn't be doing that, and I understand being like trying to discourage that behavior. Like I think they do the right thing in that way.
That's the thing.
Hand out fines. Like don't give double penalties. Like it's just such a weird concept.
Yeah. I asked
can't get
Craig
my head
Button
around it.
about this, and he's like, I don't know why we're having this conversation. The league has a penalty for it, and they're handling it. And I was like, okay, bet. I guess I won't ask again.
Yeah.
Sorry, Craig.
You know
No,
what I mean?
sorry, Butts. Love you, Craig, but like, it's definitely worth talking about. There
Yeah.
could be other ways to deal with players embellishing. Like, do you have to give them a penalty too? It just,
I mean,
it just seems weird.
I get though. It's a deterrent, and you know what? Soccer could do with that. So I don't know.
Yeah,
maybe they're onto something, because you should. It's like, okay, there's a foul or a penalty on the play, but like, you know, you're being a little extra, pal. We don't want to see you do this in the future again.
In like, because in soccer, like you even on your own team, you know, like there's guys that you're like stay up, man.
Yeah,
like,
that
like,
was
like,
the
'cause, like,
conversation that was the point that I thought was interesting. Like, how would that conversation go in the locker room? Like, hey man, you're my teammate. I like you. You dive like how would that conversation go?
yeah, like again, like because that's what Gallagher was saying.
Yeah,
Like
if I was
one
on
of
his team.
one of the veterans should go in there and talk to him. Which like Ottawa's a really young team. I don't even know like.
Who would say something? Brady Kachuk?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
eh.
Yeah, be like I love it, stir it up. But like,
Yeah.
I freaking love Brady Kachuk.
I love the Kachuk
Oh,
brothers.
He's the coolest.
But well, and funny enough, speaking of the Kachuk brothers, because he also seemed to have like a bit of a problem. This is because as much as I think Stützle like do what you can to help your team, but he definitely has a bit of a reputation for it, because there was another one where Matthew Kachuk like picked him up.
Yeah.
Like he was on the ground after kind of like getting hooked and kind of like spun off, and then Kachuk grabs him and like picks him up, kind of like that happens in soccer too, where like
Yeah.
when somebody
They're kind of buddies though too. Like Brady and
don't know,
Stützle
remember-
are friends and
Remember
are
Brady
best friends.
and
Like
Kachuk were talking like at the red line, like kind of joking around, and then Stützle came over and Matthew gave the meanest face and then left immediately.
no, they're all buddies.
I could totally see it just being like a moment. Remember that college basketball player? He sees his like teammate kind of have his chin down. He just comes up and goes, boop.
Yeah.
Like, bumps him. Just more of a like, come on, man, you got this. Get up.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
So, but, okay, fellas, like, it's 60-40. Sam put a vote in the chat, and it's like 60-40 that there's yes for too much diving.
So what do we take from that? They want more fines handed out? Is that what we want, folks?
Yeah. Let us know, because that
More
actually
fines,
surprises
more penalties. Me too. I never think of it as that
No,
big
I
of
don't
an
think
issue.
so. I think people want more diving in the NHL.
Oh.
You know what I mean? They're like get some extra diving. No.
Sam, can you also ask about shout outs to Sam Glissman, by the way.
That's,
How you doing,
that's the
big
voice
guy?
of Sam. That
Yeah. Hi. Yeah. You can't see me, but I'm back here. I'll get a camera eventually
You
one
may
day.
know him as Handsome Sam.
Okay. Enough.
We keep him back there because he makes us look bad.
Handsome Sam, humble Corwin.
He's so humble.
So humble, so handsome. Sam, can you also ask? I'm trying to think of the best way to phrase a question. Like, should the NHL be calling like a penalty and an embellishment, or should it just be one or the other? Because I just want to know how do you
Whoa,
that
fine them $20K, $5K's no encouragement. That's a slap of a fine.
But is 20K versus 5K? Is that a big difference to you if you're making that amount of money?
I don't know what it's like to make money.
Right.
now.
Well, I
Not
think they
relatable
do.
content.
I think they increase as you like. If it happens once, you get a certain amount, and then
Yeah.
it goes up. So
Yeah.
like, I would imagine that's what it is. Like if I don't know if it gets to 20K, but like, yeah.
Well, you guys have decided apparently there's too much diving in the NHL. We'll see what happens
enough.
from that. Let's go back to some of the coldest moments. Obviously, we were talking about Matthews' goal a little bit earlier on. The OT winner, that celebration was directly targeted at 20,000 plus people for a long time. But on the same night, you have Shesterkin after the Penguins game. He got hit behind the net on one of the plays, and it was just like a chippy game at the end. There was even a hit on Mott, and he gives the little bye-bye wave to the Penguins as they're skating off the ice. What was the coldest moment of that night, and is there anything that was colder this year, period, than those two? Which there might be, so...
We were talking about this in the group chat, and as soon as you were like, okay, NHL coldest moments, I was like, Corwin, I think we saw two of the best ones last night.
Last
with the
night?
Shesterkin thing and the Matthews thing. What are we going to call that Matthews celebration? I don't know. Like, he's been doing it a lot lately with the hands out and like.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm into it. I saw someone call it the Night King celebration, where because like if you've ever seen, you know, the picture of the Game of Thrones where he's kind of like, come at me.
So that's what they're going to name it in NHL 23.
Yeah.
That's what the official name will be once they get around it with the weird characterization.
Yeah.
Remember when the Night King just like had
the worst ending of all time?
the most anticlimactic
And you
ending
guys took
ever?
him first.
You got a little drip.
You guys took him first, by the way, in the draft.
I don't know. Slide? Yeah, I think so.
But yeah, what was colder to you, Jesse? And is there a moment that was even colder? Because yeah, they're fun. Like it's like an old time thing you're gonna talk about. It's like the Tyrone Lue step over from Iverson. Like you want to see that stuff. In the game.
Also good shout in the chat from German Cash here saying that are you not entertained?
Yeah, that's
Sure,
a
the
good one.
Gladiator.
Yeah.
Oh, I just like calling it the Gladiator. That's kind of
yeah.
sick.
Yeah.
So I was watching the game last night with my good friend Adam Anagnostopoulos, shout outs. And right when Matthews sallied last night, I looked at him, I was like, that is one of the hardest and coldest sallies I've ever seen in my life. It was maybe just because they slowed it down so much, but it was so long. You just stare at the crowd for, and to me, that's the coldest moment of the year.
Coldest. Okay.
Yeah.
Of the year,
I'm trying to think of what stands out to me. I don't know.
coldest moment still to me would probably be the Jack Hughes one. Like just
The stick toss?
the crazy
Oh,
OT goal and
yeah.
just chucking the stick over the boards. That was just unreal.
Who just left the ice? Oh, that was in the AH.
Is that cold? Like is that cold, or is it more just like really like
It's a good
cool and awesome?
celebration. I see what he's saying, where it's not necessarily as cold as those other two things, but like I don't know, it is kind of like
So it's
he started
cold,
a
yeah.
trend from that, and like it was definitely noticed to the point where I bet you if you're on the other team, you saw that you would have been like,
Yeah.
which
yeah,
that
like
counts,
because
the
like it's not as
reaction,
like
right?
'cause you're thinking probably more cold to like the fans,
Yeah.
but to everybody else, it's just like I'm out of here.
I don't
you
need
know?
my stick.
Yeah,
This is done.
I just finished it.
Yeah.
The coldest sally I've ever seen in my life, hands down. I forget
Andrew
where
Ference
it was.
in the playoffs.
No, that was just
That was nuts.
not the coolest. That was the coolest. so no. There was a player I think a couple years ago. So scored such a quick motion. Scores, goes around, flips his stick around, swipes off some snow from the blade, and salt
Angled
it.
it.
It was unbelievable.
The legend in the comments also the Asham one, which is like
Well,
probably shouldn't
JB
support that because a concussion protocol, but that was
Yeah.
Yeah,
that is probably the coldest. Actually,
Yeah,
the guy was really hurt.
that
Like,
was insane.
did not know.
I
his
mean,
state.
craziest too, as they pointed out, is Jay Beagle, who just was on the other end of that recently,
I saw that
right?
meme so much this weekend after the Jay Beagle Zegers thing. I saw
True, yeah,
this
yeah.
everywhere this weekend.
That was a whole other thing.
What?
Yeah.
Oh,
The Jay Beagle situation.
yeah. I mean, I out of that, like, a bit of a crazy moment. I didn't like fully get what Zegers was saying about some of it. Like, I don't know, maybe he just didn't have the best angle because he was saying like I don't think did he really hit him when he was like
You're talking about his post game.
Yeah. I love the post game. I love how fired up he was.
Did you love? By the way, I don't know if you guys know this. He kept looking over his shoulder. Like Beagle was he like in the hall?
It was like a WWE.
Is he gonna
like
like for the PR guy or for Beagle?
Is he gonna come punch me in the face? Yeah.
I'd feel the same way too.
I mean, and based on how he got cross-checked, like it could
Yeah.
be coming at any time, right?
Hearing
Like he just came
footsteps.
right in the back.
Did you hear what Beagle said too, though? Like, I get what Beagle was saying.
The cross check was nothing to me. He was digging at the goalie with a couple minutes left. The cross check
It
was
happens.
nothing.
It was hard. I would say
It was
that. Like it was a hard cross.
But it was an annoying thing to do. Like, yeah, finish the whatever. Everything with Terry was too much.
Yeah, but the only thing I was confused about, and maybe I just didn't see the proper angle, but he was saying like he was already down and he was punching him while he was down, which I didn't see that really. I don't know. If you guys.
He definitely didn't
I'm
let
just
up
all for
until-
the fact that like if you drop the gloves and start punching someone, then like their gloves are still on and they didn't even know you're fighting.
They have to
You
be
should-
willing.
Yeah, they should be willing
Totally.
there. While we're on the topic of the Ducks, and we got another 10 minutes to go here, but let's talk about Ryan Getzlaf, because obviously he announced that he's going to be retiring at the end of the season. It sparked a bit of a debate since we're back in the office with people going, is he a Hall of Famer? So to you guys, do you think he's a Hall of Famer? But maybe I'll set the stage for you just a little bit.
Who
before
said
you
no? Was it a debate?
So I will say this: obviously he's got the cup. Obviously he's been part of some great Canada teams. He's won a gold medal, but he does have no individual trophies. He's never won any kind of scoring title. Not that you would have expected him for it, but there really isn't much in the individual award column. Do you think he's a Hall of Famer, or do you think he's just a Ducks great, a Ducks legend? Which, hey, like there's no shame in that, obviously either. So what's the case for you guys?
He's a Hall of Famer for me.
Why is that?
I think he finished top 7 in Hart voting like on 5 different occasions. I was looking at this before because I asked Jesse. For me, Getzlaf is kind of a lock, and the more interesting point to me was, what does that make Corey Perry? Because Corey Perry has won all of the same things, but does have that one Hart trophy.
He was second in Hart voting in 2013
Yeah.
and 2014.
Just like holds the Ducks all-time points. And I know that doesn't really matter for the Hall of Fame. It's more of a franchise thing, but the triple gold, the Stanley Cup.
I think
Man.
I think the difference between Getzlaf and
Expose him.
I can see Justin's computer, and he goes, "I think the difference between Getzlaf and then I just look over, and it's Patrick Laine's hockey DB page." It was like, "Are you about to say is Patrick Laine a Hall of Famer?"
No. Honestly,
on the way to the Hall of Fame.
I actually don't know why I had a tap Patrick Laine out there.
just admiring him?
I just always have one open because he's the coolest.
Yeah.
I think that the main difference between Corey Perry and Ryan Getzlaf is just Getz was pretty consistent his entire career. Like if you look at him, like he comes in second year in the league, gets 58 points. He has 17 points in 21 playoff games, which is very impressive. And then from there, if you do check out his hockey DB page, he just had a dominant, other than the 2010-2011 season, he just had so many dominant seasons, just almost a point per game player for like a lot of years. And then you look at Perry, and what? Perry was dominant from he was really, really good from I'd say 2009 to 2000.
Great year, 2009.
Oh yeah. From 2009 to 2014, and then after that he kind of, I guess 2015 was pretty good too, but after that he kind of just like dropped a little bit. And I just think Getzlaf has been more dominant throughout his whole career, and I think that's why he should go. And I guess Perry's got some Olympic golds as well, but go ahead, Gordon.
Personally, I don't think either of them are Hall of Famers. I like
Patrick Laine or Ryan.
exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. No, Corey Perry or Getzlaf. But I'll tell you what, Ryan Getzlaf, Hall of Fame flow.
You're a hater, man.
No, I say it in a good way. I actually love it. Like
You're gonna have to explain yourself.
No,
on this one.
I
You just
just
embraced
I
it?
respect the bald, and like it's a look that really works for him, and I feel like he's
Shiny.
one
He's
of
owned it.
He's got to be one of the most iconic bald players in the history of the NHL, right?
Don't forget my guy L.I. Freddy. He's kind of bald.
Yeah,
No, that's
but
just
even him,
Skullet.
he went Skullet, right?
That's
Like, which is like
Skullet.
this guy, like Getzlaf, just he eventually, like when I love the move of just like it's starting to go a little. See ya, and he just went for it, and then like that's been his look for so long, and I love it. I just think it's a sick look. The only other thing I was going to say about Getzlaf, he's only been in the top 5 of NHL scoring once in his career.
All right, and
That to me, that like
What about his playoff performance? Man, like
cite his numbers there because I know you were saying that before, but that is a great point by the
Who won the
to
cup?
consider
he's
for Hall of
he's
Fame.
he's the leader. When they won the cup?
Yeah.
it was Jaguar.
What's his playoff number?
When no, was it Jaguar? Or was it Niedermeyer?
I'm gonna look it
no,
up.
it was Niedermeyer.
It was
'Cause-
Niedermeyer.
yeah,
it was
'cause
Niedermeyer. Sorry, it was Niedermeyer. Because Jaguar won it in 2003.
2003.
Like Getzlaf has 120 points in 125 playoff games. He's been their lead, and think about how good those Ducks teams were for so many years. Always a threat. That's another reason why I think Getzlaf should be in the Hall as well. Because you think about like there was a serious period when it's like, okay, like the Ducks could win the cup this year. and they did win a cup. Obviously, they didn't go back since, but 120 and 125, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah. Well,
I think there's no doubt he's going to go.
there are definitely some
personally.
players that, like, you know, their careers don't jump out off their Wikipedia page or off their Hockey DB page. And this is why I have a bit of a solution I want to offer. I was saying this to Corwin earlier in the week. And again, no disrespect to the Hall of Fame whatsoever. Wonderful thing. But there's so much debate over players where you're like, okay, you're talking about borderline stuff. But when you're talking about the best of the best, I just feel like there's probably about 100 players to 75 players, and we'll use the NBA model, that you really probably care about talking about all time. Not that you don't care about other players' careers, but when you're comparing the very best, that list can only be so long. I think the NHL should go all in, similar to what the NBA has done, where every time they're celebrating a milestone year, they make a massive deal about updating that list of the top however many players. It was the top 75 in the NBA, because it sparks a massive discussion that is always ongoing. The NHL did that when they celebrated their 100th year, and it's a little bit tougher because the next one, like, was at 125. You don't want to do that, but I think you should constantly reopen that list and discuss it. That'd be interesting. You don't have to take anyone out of the Hall of Fame for that, but you're really putting it into context, because that NHL list, one of the weirdest parts about it, I don't even think it's any kind of order. It's just like 100 players. If you do it in a list, that's a way more interesting discussion. Again, nothing to Getzlaf. Like, if he makes the Hall, wonderful. Huge player for the Ducks, legend.
Incredible
for them
honor.
too. Incredible honor. But I think if we really want to, like, talk about the all-time greats, this is a good way to do that. I think it's. What do you guys think about that? If you had that list maybe every 10 years and you reopen it and you rediscuss the very best of the best.
I think, like, from 2008 to 2018, Getzlaf easily is, like, one of the best in the NHL. But he was.
But again, sorry, not trying to just get off the Getzlaf, but in a little bit, he wouldn't make a top 100 player list. What do you think of that list?
Like all time?
All time.
Well, I think that, like, a top 100 is, like, very, very small. And you know who else was left off of the NHL top 100?
Small, though? Like,
Do you know who Evgeny Malkin was left off that list?
Yeah,
which is
was.
an absolute joke.
Totally.
The
So
fact
if
that
you-
Jonathan Taves made that list and Evgeny Malkin didn't is... I remember looking at that and being like, this is pure comedy.
And that's
like,
exactly why wouldn't you
comedy.
want to reopen that list every 10 years, where it's like players belong in there that are not in there, and you start refining that list.
Well, and my thing I said to Z is that the thing I don't like about lists like that is I really I've got a great disrespect for hockey history, and by
Me
that
too, honestly.
I'm kind of joking, but, like, at the same time I just mean, like, I just can't be bothered to discuss the relevance of, like, how good somebody in 1960 was to the players now. Like, it's just not an interesting discussion of any kind. I think, like, genuinely there needs to just be, like, decide these things. Those guys, exactly like you just said, those guys are in the Hall of Fame. They have their thing. They just played a different game, and it's not really worth discussing them as, like, the best players of all time, in my opinion, because it was just such a different league, and I'm way more interested in kind of hearing about, like, how the top 100 would work without, like, 50 of them being before TVs existed.
And I think, though, one way to solve that, though, is, again, assign them rankings. Don't just make it here's 100 of our favorite players, because they made reasons for all of them. But if you were forced to rank them, you have to give reasons for why that person's on the list, which I didn't think they had to do on that list.
Yeah, somebody just pointed out that the Hall of Fame is international too, so
That's true.
as opposed to just NHL.
Yes, Hockey Hall of Fame is not
Yeah.
the NHL Hall of Fame. Yeah.
Yeah, which is important, and I guess
Getz has
that's
won a couple
obviously-
goals.
Exactly,
Yeah.
yeah, which is a huge thing. So I mean, but at the same time, like, and I don't, like, again, I'm not trying to knock Getzlaf, because I do really like Getzlaf as a player. Like, I think he's really enjoyable to watch. He's like, I just love his personality, but at the same time, like, do you kind of just get, like, I don't know, you kind of just get rewarded for, like, being born in Canada for that? Like, their teams were just so good at that time that, like, I feel like you could
You have
probably
to make that team.
Yeah, but you could.
That's the thing. You have to make that team.
I know, but I bet you could swap out like the guys that aren't the top of that team. You can swap them out. Like think about how many times it's like, oh, team A Canada and team B Canada, and you can make them be like, oh, they both compete, and it's like, so you could probably swap out Getzlaf for a bunch of guys on that team and still win. And like, I'm not saying guaranteed that's how it happened, but it's not like Getzlaf scored the golden goal or something, you know, like. And
Let's give some respect to Iggy too, muscling out 2 people for that pass.
absolutely. I mean, Iggy, definitely a Hall of Famer.
Is literally.
yeah. There's no point in arguing.
Yeah. Well, folks, thank you so much for joining us. We're going to try and do this a little bit more frequently, have a little bit of a live show while also still having those podcast episodes come out. It was a great way to spend a Friday, chatting some pucks. So thanks for the chat down there.
Should we answer a couple questions before we go quick?
Yeah,
if
we
people
should
want
do
to throw
that.
some questions out.
There's
questions.
a couple of questions that we have already. I've been looking, by the way.
Oh, yeah?
So Jesse, when's the Patrick Line interview going to be coming out, buddy?
It's a great question. We're actually, it's close. It's really close. Co-producer, editor, camera guy, all of the above. Connor Nickel-Penman's been absolutely
He's
horse in it. So
certified.
it should be out, I would say, early next week if I had to guess.
Wow, huge! Love to hear that. That's a great one. Much like the horse.
Can we also see some horses in the chat? Let's see some horses in the chat. Let's get those horses going, people.
Whoa! Somebody said Malkin isn't a Hall of Famer.
Well, that's just rude.
That's an absolute joke. That's where that's where we stop horsing around.
Yeah.
That's where we stop horsing around. Evgeny Malkin is like probably one of he's honestly probably like he might be like one of the best players ever. Like where would you rank Malkin? Like he's maybe a top 30 player ever. Is that too much? Top 50.
There, but yeah. Said
Well,
one of
man,
the best
he didn't-
players, and then you said top 30.
He
I thought you were talking like top 10.
He didn't even make the NHL's top 100 list. What a joke. That's honestly embarrassing. By the NHL. I'm sorry. Like I know it's all these years later.
Especially when you consider that, like,
You said
that-
Taves made the list. And that
Taves
was-
made
made the list.
And you could see, like, compare Malkin's skill to Taves. Like, they've accomplished the same amount in their careers, right? It's like they both have 3 cups. They both won a Conn Smythe before.
yeah.
Malkin is so much better than Jonathan Taves. Like, what are their point per game total? Malkin has 1,140 in 975 games.
By the way, I think it's a bit of a straw man here. I think we all agree that he belongs on that list. But great question here.
embarrassing.
Who is the youngest player you can already put in the Hall of Fame? Is it-
McDavid, for
McDavid,
sure.
Probably, yeah.
Would you if he went in tomorrow? Would you guys be like, yeah? If his
No, I'd be
career
so
stops
mad if
for
he went
like,
in tomorrow.
yeah, because it's a tough one to answer.
He doesn't. Yeah.
No, he's in, right?
Yeah.
Jesse,
what if
put
he
him in
never
there
wins
too?
Stanley Cup?
That's not gonna matter.
I honestly think Julia almost
Yeah.
threw up there.
Can you imagine though if Connor McDavid won his whole career and never won a cup?
Well, there's only one solution to that.
When?
Get out of Edmonton.
Also, the youngest player, not Austin Matthews.
because he would be younger.
I don't know
Oh,
if
yeah,
Austin
he is
Matthews
younger.
has done like enough
Definitely wouldn't be
yet.
younger, yeah.
I think McDavid's stats
Needs
are
more.
significantly better than Matthews.
Like, I think because he's like done it for longer in terms of like, because Matthews, it sucks because his most,
He's
like,
broken all the American records though. Might be the
for the single season stuff. But the only thing my thought was that all of Matthews' like most impressive seasons, and I know like 40 goals in his first year was still very impressive, but at the same time, like, he was kind of like the COVID stuff. And I guess I don't know how that's going to impact stuff. Where are they going to look more at like, oh, what your pace was? But
because he
like,
should really be this should really be his third 50 goal season.
yeah, and like let's say because like I don't think this is true, but it's possible it happens sometimes. That, like, let's say he never scores 50 again.
I'm sick right now.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm
We're
sick
really
right
gonna
now,
make Julia
Corwin.
throw up. But like it happens, right? Like sometimes guys have their like peak performance season at around like 23, 24, and like
You're not expecting this to happen.
no, I'm
is
not
what you're saying,
expecting it.
right?
I'm not expecting
Okay.
it, but it's
just to
sick right
save
now,
your
Corwin.
ass
Don't
here.
put this
yeah.
out.
No, I expect Matthews to score like 60, 70 for the next
Okay.
8 years, you know? But like I'm just saying, like, I don't think you can lock in Matthews as a Hall of, like, if his career ends like this year.
he inevitably will be a Hall of Famer, but if you
Yes.
have to do it right now, you wouldn't.
Yeah,
But
which is no
McDavid's
insult.
accomplished enough statistically that even if, he did decide to just hang up his skates right now, he'd be in the Hall of Fame
Man
because
just pulls a Jordan.
He has already established himself as probably at the very least a top 10 player of all time. At the
Imagine-
very least right now.
Imagine pulling a Jordan without any chips. You're just like, I'm done. I don't want to play this anymore. I guess
Yes.
that's a Barry Sanders. I guess.
Yes.
A Calvin Johnson.
Yeah.
You can just call it a Detroit Lion.
Sorry. Yeah. Oilers fans.
Austin Matthews will likely go down as one of the greatest goal scorers to ever play the game, but like you're not 100,
Right.
you're not 1,000%
And maybe
convinced
the
of that
best
yet.
American
Yeah.
player of all time.
If he wins the Hart this year,
That'll change.
does that change it?
No, I don't think so.
The Hart and the Stanley Cup.
Would that be
And the
that?
Conn Smythe.
That'd be two.
That
Wait,
much.
Yeah, he's in. Yeah, put him in.
that'd be 2 Rockets and a Hart, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
2 Rockets, a Hart, and a Calder. Then I would say yeah, probably.
I like how you just
And a Conn
locking him in
Smythe.
for the Rockets. Yeah.
And oh yeah.
Come
Oh,
on,
hell
come
yeah.
on.
Come
No,
on.
I
After
agree.
last night,
I agree.
After the hat trick.
I'm saying I love the confidence.
Yeah. All right. Well, again, thank you so much for joining us. We're going to try and do this more often because we like, a little bit of a live chat. They're just fun to do. Might not be on a Friday. We might be looking at another day of the week for that. But let us know what you think of it. And that means if you're watching this and it wasn't live, that's why we try to do a little bit of a mix. But if you're in here live, we're going to answer your questions. And rest assured, we are going to be doing other types of podcasts still, too. So if you like the weird edits and stuff that we do, we're still doing that stuff as well. And yes, we filmed a quiz yesterday. That'll be out next week. Very much, hopefully.
And Cale McCartford Norris, to answer your question.
Yes.
Roman Yossi.
All right.
I don't know about
We got-
that. I don't know. Okay.
We gotta go. All right.
Respect Roman.
See ya.